What are you doing?
Please don't. I'll do anything.
Please, don't kick me. I'm already hurt. The words escaped Elena's lips in a fragile whisper, barely audible over the clatter of the busy cafe. She pressed her hands to her chest, her apron torn and damp with sweat, knuckles white as she tried to steady the tray shaking in her hands. At 17, she had endured more pain than most could imagine. Nights spent worrying about bills, mornings spent running to school after barely sleeping, and endless days of serving customers who rarely noticed her beyond a smile or a tip. But today felt different. Today, the weight of the world pressed on her chest, heavier than ever. Her manager stormed toward her, his face red with fury, his footsteps echoing like thunder. "Watch what you're doing, girl," he yelled, slamming the tray she carried against the counter. Coffee spilled across the floor. Elena flinched, trying to apologize, but words failed her. She had learned long ago that words meant little in a world where the powerful yelled and the powerless endured. Yet fear coursed through her veins like ice water, the kind that made her knees weak and her stomach twist in knots. Across the room, someone paused and watched. A man, ordinary to most, yet somehow extraordinary in the way his eyes studied her. He was Michael Harper, a CEO who commanded billions, here undercover to witness the world outside the polished walls of his company. But he had not expected to find someone like Elena, someone who bore her suffering openly yet refused to break entirely. Something about the way she clutched that tray, shaking, yet still standing, stopped him in his tracks. The manager's voice rose again, harsh and cutting. "I said move faster. Do you want to get fired?" The words hit Elena like blows, but before he could take another step toward her, Michael placed a firm hand on his shoulder. "Enough." The single word was calm, unyielding, and immediately the room seemed to hold its breath. The manager froze, confusion and a hint of fear crossing his face. Elena looked up, startled. Who was this man? Why was he defending her? Michael knelt slightly to meet her gaze. "You don't deserve this," he said quietly. "I see you. I know you're hurting. But you are stronger than you think." The sincerity in his voice broke through the wall of exhaustion and fear she had built around herself. For a moment, she couldn't speak. Her lips trembled, and then tears filled her eyes. Someone, finally, saw her. Over the next few weeks, Michael began to mentor Elena, quietly and without drawing attention. He showed her ways to assert herself at work, to navigate the challenges she faced, and to hold her head high in a world that often pushed her down. Elena didn't know his true identity. To her, he was simply a man who noticed her when others had not. He offered her advice, helped her organize her finances, and more importantly, reminded her of her own worth. Slowly, she began to believe in herself again. Her laughter returned, her posture straightened, and her confidence grew, though she still carried the invisible weight of years of hardship. Life at the cafe began to change for her. Customers noticed her renewed energy, coworkers respected her more, and even her manager, though reluctant, seemed to soften slightly in her presence. But Michael's influence extended far beyond these small victories. He secretly arranged opportunities for her to explore skills and talents she had never thought possible. Every step she took toward independence was quietly guided by the man who had first seen her vulnerability in that crowded cafe. Then came the invitation. A golden envelope, sleek and elegant, addressed to Elena. Inside, a formal invitation to a gala hosted by a major company, the same company Michael secretly led. He wanted her to attend, not as a guest of anyone else, but as his personal guest. Elena couldn't believe it. "Why me?" she asked, voice trembling. Michael only smiled. "Because you've earned it. You fought when nobody else would, and now it's time the world sees what I've seen all along." The gala was a dazzling display of wealth and influence. Chandeliers glittered, elegantly dressed people mingled, and cameras flashed at every corner. Elena felt out of place, but Michael's calm presence beside her grounded her. He leaned closer and whispered, "This is yours now, Elena. Not because I gave it to you, but because you never gave up. You fought when the world tried to break you." Tears streamed down her face, but this time, they were tears of validation, of vindication, of recognition. She stood before hundreds, sharing her story for the first time publicly. The room fell silent as she recounted her struggles, the fear, the exhaustion, and the moments when she had felt invisible. And then, the applause came, long, heartfelt, and overwhelming. For the first time in her life, Elena felt truly seen. Michael watched quietly, pride swelling in his chest. He knew that the girl who had once whispered, "Please don't kick me," had transformed into a woman who commanded respect, whose courage inspired everyone in that room. It wasn't about wealth or status, it was about being recognized, being valued, and being given the chance to rise when no one else believed you could. After the gala, Elena stepped outside, the cool night air brushing against her face. She took a deep breath, feeling a freedom she had never known. The plea she had made weeks ago, the one that had sounded like a fragile hope, was now just a memory. She had survived, she had grown, and she had been seen. Her spirit was unshakable, her heart whole, and her future bright. She knew now, without a shadow of doubt, that the world could no longer decide her worth. Elena smiled faintly as she looked at the city lights, thinking of everything she had endured and everything she had gained. Life had knocked her down countless times, but she had risen. And she realized something that night that she would carry forever. Sometimes, the world will try to crush you, but if someone believes in you, even quietly, even secretly, you can rise higher than you ever imagined. She had begged, she had cried, she had feared. But now, Elena was unstoppable.